Good morning.
It's a good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Another week over in May.
Yeah, we're
Go on.
flying through.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good today.
Phone is jumping already. I'm only on here 5 minutes and the phone starts ping,
Well,
ping, ping, ping,
it's
ping.
okay.
It's like everybody just comes out of the woodwork when they know that you're going live. So I'm tired today. Had a
You're tired?
very busy day yesterday. We appreciate
Oh.
all you nurses out there. Today, I believe it's National Nurses Day. Well, it better be National Nurses Day because I spent all day yesterday
What did you do
packing
yesterday?
50 packages.
50
little
packages?
Little coffee break. Oh, 500.
50. I was like that. Where were you?
See, my brains are frazzled.
500 is what I saw.
500 little coffee break packages for the amazing nursing staff at James Connolly Hospital in Dublin.
Well, I hope they're all very, very blessed. Well,
so if you're a nurse today, we just want to say thank you so much. Good morning, John. We just want to thank you for all your hard work. It's not an easy job, in fairness.
It's a hard job.
Especially with what we've gone through in the last while, so we appreciate it.
So my little assistantes, I'm in great form. Can you...
okay, I have to confess something here now, right?
What's that?
I didn't actually get a chance to change the scripture reference. I'm going to do that now while we are talking. You all talk amongst yourselves. And in fairness, the assistante doesn't often get this.
This is not very impressive, to be honest with you.
There it is. It's just look how quick I did that.
That is absolutely incredible.
It's Luke chapter 18, verse 22.
Now, everyone's going to be surprised when I talk about it today.
Oh, really? Why? What are you talking about? All right, well, I'll just read the scriptures. And I got two versions that I liked.
Go version.
I always go for the NIV because it just tells you what it is. So when Jesus heard this, he said to him, "You still lack one thing. Sell everything you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me." Okay. But I pulled up the Amplified.
Ooh.
I actually like this. It's really good. So it really explains it a bit more. And it says, when Jesus heard, so I hope I'm going on the right line, so I don't know what you're going to share. When Jesus heard this, he said to him, "You still lack one thing. Sell everything that you have and distribute the money to the poor, and you will have abundant treasure in heaven. And come follow me, becoming my disciple, believing and trusting in me." And this is what I liked, "and walking the same path of life that I walk." That's good, isn't it? That's quite a good one. I really like that. So you become my disciple, trusting in me and walking the same path of life that I walk. I think that's quite heavy. What are you going to share?
Well, I'm going to share today is most people, I've heard this scripture verse preached many times on the fact where he lacked all this stuff about this man and all that. But what I want to talk about today is that Jesus presents him with a choice. Choice. We all hone in on all that he had to give up. But actually, Jesus presents him with a choice.
The great choice.
Yeah.
Good.
And sometimes, God presents us with choices in our own world. And so Jesus speaks with this man in his world, talks about what he, and this man actually has this conversation with Jesus. I've done all this, I've kept commandments, I didn't. But then Jesus presents him with this hard choice. That is he willing to make a choice
to become a
disciple for Jesus? And I want to say this, it's easy to go to church on a Sunday morning. It's easy to do all those types of things. But what about the choice that sometimes we're presented to become disciples of Christ, which is a big difference. And I don't know about you. I was presented with that choice when I was 28 in Bible school in Belgium. I had a pastor from India, from Calcutta. He was actually the president of Southern Asia Bible College time. He challenged me in a meeting. Was I willing to really sacrifice my life for the gospel? And I remember before I gave the answer, he said, "I'm going to go away for a few minutes. I'll come back over and ask you, but you need to make that choice today."
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, do I really want to make that choice? Do I really want to make that decision? And then at that point, he came back over and I said, "No, I'm willing to make that decision and make that choice for my life." Now, I didn't realize what God had for me. But here's the thing, because Jesus doesn't really tell him fully.
Yeah, because I think that's not making a choice. You see, I think sometimes it's like people say, "Oh, I'm full of faith," but you're not really, because we're saying to God, like, how we want things to unfold. And, we say, well, we let go of that if you tell me what you're going to give me. In a sense, and we don't really. I can't remember years ago, God asked me to give up my job, and it's a very long story. We're not going to get into it now, but it was a massive, and everything in me. If God had said to me, "If you give that up, I'll give you this," then that would have been easy. But I remember saying to somebody, I said, "I feel like I'm walking down a road, and there's a corner at the end of it, and when I turn the corner, I'll know where I'm going. But at this point, I just know I have to walk down this road." And sometimes God just asks us to walk down that road, and it's not about guarantees.
Well, if you go back to the verse there.
Which one?
He says something, just go back there. Jesus says to him, you'll have treasure in heaven. But I mean, he doesn't really fully understand that.
Yeah, divine, like divine
Define
treasure.
heaven and define treasure at that point.
And we can't comprehend that anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, in other words, Jesus was presented with the unknown that he couldn't fully see. But he's challenging. And this is the second thing I want to talk about. The choice that he deals with is not a decision of mind. It's actually a decision of his heart.
Yeah.
Because every choice we make is based on the decisions of our hearts. Most often, it's what we think inside, not in our mind. It's in our heart.
But can I jump in and go back? Like you were talking about choices, and I want to bring this out this morning. It's really important to acknowledge that every choice that we make in every day has an impact on our destination. And I think sometimes we think, oh, you know, I don't know about you, but have you ever been in a car crash, right? Or have you ever had an accident in the car, like I have a long time ago? And you start, I don't know, for me, I just get this moment where I'm like, if only I'd gone 10 minutes later, if only I'd gone that way instead of that way, if only I'd done this, or if only I'd picked Pat up instead of going. And it just shows us how much every decision we make impacts the outcome. And I think that's something that's really important, is that we acknowledge that every decision determines our direction. Absolutely. No matter how big or how small. Some decisions we know are huge, like who we marry or where we settle or what, you know, job or ministry we go into or whatever it is. But every single decision, and I want to read this actually, it's funny, I didn't know Pat was going to talk, but I shared this morning from a book I read, and I shared it on Facebook, and I want you to hear this. It says, our decisions aren't just isolated choices. Our decisions point our lives in the directions we're about to head. Show me a decision and I'll show you the direction.
See, I didn't even know you had that.
No, I put that up this morning. So I shared that on my Facebook today. Show me a decision and I will show you a direction.
Wow.
So, you know, we have these decisions with God, and we have these decisions, but we have decisions just in everyday life. And I just want to, I don't know, maybe somebody needs to hear this morning, but every single decision we make has a massive impact. Like when I moved to Dublin, I don't know if I ever shared this, but when I moved to Ireland, beforehand, I was living in Wales. It was the summer. I was invited to a wedding. Now, I always wanted to come back to Dublin, but I had gone through some pretty traumatic life experiences, and I was keeping my head down. And I was invited to a wedding in Dublin, and I said, I'm not going to go. I'm just not up to it. And, you know, maybe, and I love traveling and everything, but I'm just not going to go. It's just not. And somebody made a phone call, the groom, the chap who's getting married. And he said, Shan, he was chatting to me on the phone. He said, I really, really want to encourage you to come. He said, I don't know. I just really feel you should come. And I said, And I put the phone down. Everything in me was like, no, I'm just going to stay here and mind myself and just stay out of the way. And then just something in me went, oh, sure, why not? And I went, I'll go. That was the weekend that I decided to come to Bible college. I came to Dublin. I went to lunch in Gary, and it wasn't even at the wedding. The following day, we went to lunch at Gary's house, and Gary mentioned the Bible college, and something in me just reacted. Wow. I went, okay, I'm interested. And before I left Dublin on that weekend, I had made the decision to come to Bible college. Yes. So that one, and all the decisions that follow on from that, my whole life. So that one little decision at that moment was just whether or not I go to a wedding, whether or not I get over my big issue, or I go to the wedding. And I decided to go, and it impacted. So show me a decision and I'll show you a direction. So I put myself to one side, I put my emotions to one side, I put my feelings to one side, I put my sadness to one side. I'm just going to go and do this. So what I'm trying to say to you today is sometimes the decision doesn't appear to be directly connected to your future. Like I didn't think that was going to have a mass.
Can I jump in there just for some sake? So you made a decision, right? Now think of this, and a lot of people get this wrong, right? You made a decision not on how you're feeling. Yeah. Right? You made a choice in your mind, said, regardless of what I'm feeling, do you know what, I'm going to go. Get over myself. I'm actually going to go and go to the wedding, right? A lot of people, a lot of Christians constantly make choices on their feelings. Yeah. Now when you hear this, Christian Campbell, a friend of mine, he's in the middle of the Ukraine at the moment. Yeah. In the middle of the war zone. He's a 23-year-old young man. Amazing. And he was asked a question 3 weeks ago on a Zoom call at a men's meeting. Or, I think it was a men's meeting. Men's meeting. And someone said to him, what drew you to the Ukraine? Was it a call? And he said this. He said, most people expect the call to have a fuzzy feeling moment. And then they do something. He says, for me, the scriptures are clear. It says, look after the widow and the poor and the broken and the lost. So he said, I based my choice not on a fuzzy feeling, but but on the truth of what God says.
Mm.
And therefore, his action and decision and choice that he made according to what the word said has brought him into the middle of a war zone. He's doing great work there. And he's helping a lot of people out there. And it really spoke to me was that so often we, like what you said, you were had this feel, I'll stay at home, look at myself.
Or you think that one decision doesn't have a massive impact. You think it's not really relevant.
And you don't realize that you didn't give in to your feeling. You just made a choice in your mind. So I'm going to go to the wedding. And that one choice in your mind's eye changed your destiny. Change the direction of your life.
But sometimes you don't even like with Christian. Absolutely. You realize that's a massive life decision. Some decisions, like you can get up right now, whatever you're on your device, whatever, and you get up and you go into your day. Every decision you make has an impact. It has an impact, and it can have. Some have a huge impact, some have a smaller impact, but nonetheless, they have an impact. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And it's true what Pat's saying. Sometimes we have to override. Or sometimes we make decisions more than they actually are. Sometimes we're like, oh, this is a massive, and it's not a massive decision. It's, we were talking with somebody this week and I was like, oh, it's really a no-brainer. I actually love that expression. It's a no-brainer because that means you don't really have to think about this for a long period of time. It's obvious and it's staring you right in the face. And can I say that to you today, that there are decisions that some of us have to make and they're staring us right in the face and we're sort of going, oh, I need to pray about this a little bit longer. At the end of the day, sometimes I've learned certain decisions are no-brainers. So like if I'm, walking down the road and I feel to be kind to somebody or give something to somebody who's homeless or whatever it is, like they're no-brainers. I don't need to go and pray about that and really, like Jesus said, look after the poor, feed the hungry. Certain decisions are just no-brainers, but they can all have a massive impact. And even if they don't impact your life, they can impact other people's lives.
Can I just say this as we're closing? I really want to say this, right? If you're a young Christian, or an older Christian, whatever, right? I've been saying this for nearly 25 years, right? If you're a Christian and you're struggling, you've got to ask yourself, why?
Why am I struggling now?
Right? And then you realize it's based on the choices that you make. That makes you and puts you in the situation. Now, I believe this, you're either going forward or you're going backwards, or you're drifting backwards, or you're sliding backwards, right? Now, we have meetings, say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 meetings in a week on Zoom, right? And one physical meeting. And I've constantly said to people for years and years, go to the meeting, plug into the meeting, blah, blah, blah. And I constantly say the same thing. I don't need to be in a meeting. I'm 30 years a Christian at this point.
That does be good, like.
But exactly. I still make the choice to go to the meeting because when I come out of the meeting, I feel fed, I feel uplifted, I feel encouraged, and I feel blessed. Now, here's the thing, right? That man's values was upside down.
What man?
The rich young ruler.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
His priorities were upside down. Jesus challenged his value system and challenged his priorities and made him aware that the very thing he loved was actually causing him to make certain choices. Now, I would really ask you this week, stop, check, and ask yourself, how am I spiritually?
Yeah.
Am I well? Am I healthy? Am I growing? And if not, then look at the choices that you're making from Monday to Sunday. And then make a choice to either make a change or stay the same and keep drifting where you're drifting, or keep growing and keep on growing. Would you agree?
And I think it's interesting at this, like the responsibility goes straight back to him.
Oh, totally.
So it's like, oh God, why do I feel like this? Why am I struggling? Why am I going through this, Lord? Why don't you lift this burden off me? And it's like straight back at you. It's like, you know what? You do everything. What does he say? But you still lack one thing. So it's right back. The responsibility comes straight back to us for the choices. So sometimes we're crying out, asking God to do this and do this and do this and do this. And we need to make the changes right back at you. And it goes back to what we were talking about on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. We were talking about be doers of the word.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to do it. And this is what this is all about, isn't it? It's about being doers of the word. So we walk around sometimes with all these issues, all these problems, or one or two problems, whatever it is. And we're going, Lord, why don't you release me from this? Why don't you take this from me? Yada, yada, yada. And immediately it's right back at you. Why don't you What are you? And I think it's really important, you know, moving forward, that we consider that our choices have massive, massive impact on our lifestyle, on our life experiences, and on our walk with God, and on our level of discipleship. So I think it's really important this morning, consider that every decision you make can have an impact on your direction. And the second thing, that while we're asking God for certain things, quite often there are choices, and they might not completely remedy the situation, but they will have a huge impact on the situation.
Yeah.
So we know that God partners with us and God works with us, but sometimes he's saying to us, this is something you need to do, which is what Jesus said to this young man.
Close off of what you put up on Facebook.
Well, I read it again. It's really, really good. Let me read this. So it says, our decisions, this is really good, aren't just isolated choices. We think they are, but they're not. So our decisions aren't isolated choices. Our decisions point our lives in the directions we are about to head. Okay, show me a decision and I'll show you a direction. I love that.
No more.
Close of that. We're at the Hilton Hotel, Dublin Airport, Sunday morning at 11. We would love to have you join us. We'd love to meet you. Please feel free to like and share this post. We would love to just mix with your friends too.
And I'm preaching on a God of 1 trillion stars.
The God of 1 trillion stars. Isn't that
knows
beautiful?
your name.
Wow, we're so blessed, aren't we?
Amen.
Amen. So listen, have a great Thursday, have a great weekend, and we'd love to see you on Sunday if you're around. If not, just have a great time and get to church and be blessed. Yes, God bless you all. Take care. Bye-bye.